Hello, Answerly viewers! So those of you who play a lot of card games will probably be familiar with this term already, but for the rest of you, let's talk about drafting. What is it? How does it work? Why should you even give a crap? Well, drafting is a mechanic used in a lot of different games that explains the process of picking individual cards from a common pool of cards for all of the players to build a deck or hand for a particular game. However, if the card drawing is totally random, it's not considered drafting. Drafting implies that there is some element of choice involved. That choice might be limited to the cards available in the pool, but you do have the ability to build cards based on a set of cards that you're choosing from. Many deck building games offer draft nights at game stores or comic book stores on set nights. This is a really fun alternative to having to spend a ton of money on building your deck out of really expensive rare cards that you can buy on eBay and just having a night where everyone goes and builds a particular deck just for that night. Magic the Gathering is probably the most popular game to draft this way, so if you're interested in something like this, be sure to check your local game stores for the nights that they do this. The idea behind doing a draft is that it puts all of the players on somewhat of the same level. To build your deck, you can only pick cards from the same pool of cards that everyone else is. What generally happens is that everyone pays for booster packs, enough to build a hand, and that is your buy-in. Everyone sits in a circle, they open their first deck, they look at the cards, pick which one they want, and pass the rest on. The next person passes their hand on as well and chooses from the new hand that's been passed to them. It continues this way until all of the cards are gone, you open the next pack, and you pass them the other way. Everyone has equal opportunity to draw rare and uncommon cards, and then to see what's left over to be able to build a deck for themselves that works. The deck you build will largely depend on the cards that you're being passed, also of your knowledge in finding cards that work well together. Sometimes you might get a terrible assortment of cards, or you might pick some really good rare blue and white monsters but then not see any more of that color for the rest of the draft. Regardless of what happens in your deck building, you use those decks afterwards to battle your opponents, and that's when you find out how good or awful your decision making was. Some other popular games that use the drafting mechanic within the game are Ticket to Ride and Seven Wonders. These games have larger rule sets on top of drafting, but drafting is a core part of what you'll be doing if you decide to give this game a try. Have you ever drafted? Do you think it sounds interesting and maybe you want to try? What I really love about drafting is that it can be a ton of fun even if you're not super pro at the game. No one's going to be bringing in these $100 cards unless they draw them from the pack, so you have a really good opportunity to build a deck that is on par with someone who's been playing for 10 years. Drafting adds a whole different level on top of playing this game, and it's a really great thing for beginners. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever drafted, what you thought of it, and until next time, it's game over. What do you do if your ship sails? That seems like a silly question, I know, because the obvious answer is celebrate. But there are a few factors to consider here.